So I believe we are cool. We can start.
Okay. Welcome everybody to the EVM Working Group's weekly update. Let me share my screen. I hope everybody can see that. So today I think the main discussion will concern the ETH connector integration. Does somebody else have something else to add to the agenda? Okay. We'll probably get some more agenda items in the update itself.
I'm curious about kind of if we have or like some way to benchmark between Ethereum gas and Near gas.
Okay. All right. So the testnet release is getting imminent. That's our current goal. And let's begin with updates. Alex, I believe you've been on the bridge, but go ahead.
Yeah, I was doing lots of stuff on the bridge side because the bridge was just released, and actually the front end now is available. We just less than an hour ago we made it public. So if you want to use it, please do it. But I was actually having a call with Kirill and Evgeny on the connector. We were looking a little bit into it. Not much input from my side. I actually started to test the current deployment of the connector. I managed to lock some Ether on the Robston deployment, but unfortunately not yet figured out how to deposit it on the Near side. And obviously the transfer back is still not tested by myself. I know that there are two big, so that's from my side. There are two big PRs that were prepared by guys. Still need to be reviewed. We'll try to help you.
Yeah, hold on. I lost my place here. As I said, the meeting might be a little strange given my computer problems. Can't fully see everything. Okay. Yeah. So I will fill in the rest of your update in the after review. Okay. So on my side, I'm working on the Aurora engine, which is what we are calling the revamped contract. The EVM contract is here. So this also towards Ilya's question earlier to me that we are retiring the Near EVM repo. This is this contract is at feature parity and beyond. As in, for example, we have the raw transactions implemented now, which is a note for Frank as well. He needs those for the bully. So I've been working hard at this. Currently, I'm working on pre-compiles. Other things to implement remain meta call, so the meta transactions, and then everything to do with the ETH connector integration. So let me just put that here. Evgeny, tell us about the progress with the ETH connector.
I successfully completed pure NoSTD ETH connector. I mentioned you in PR. And it was a lot of pitfalls, but all of them I successfully resolved. And currently it's ready for testing. I start testing with manual testing with Near CLI, and I think for next week we should test it with probably with integration test and with Kirill.
Okay. Right. If you have or somebody has that link to send here, please do. This was in the ETH connector repository, and yeah, pull request then. This here. Okay, so let's come back to this in a discussion segment soon. And Frank, how's it looking on the bully?
Yeah, it's looking good. So I extended the bully that it can handle the whole testnet chain. So you had to add some defrosting option for larger chains, and also did some caching so that the startup time is much reduced, because we always have to go from the last block to the first one. And so I added a cache there. And then I fixed this problem we had with sending transactions. There was some significant work to be done with the Borsco library because it missed some features and it was buggy. So we're now in a state where we can send transactions directly from Go to the EVM or to NEAR, that is, and basically now we can run the EVM tests. So I'll call your the raw call, and then we'll see how it goes. Did you do anything yet on the other two functions? These are not done, right?
the functions exist and they set the chain ID. Other than that, we'll need to still put in place those hooks.
Okay.
But you can send all transactions, as in what happens with regards to the transactions. There might be some more work there, but you can send every transaction on the Bully end.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm done sending them, I can just keep working on implementing those functions, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So next week then, what is realistic for next week?
Calling the functions and then, well, see what we have to implement there. I don't know how far we get, but definitely pumping in the transactions and see how much we can pump in.
Okay. So in other words, replaying will start next week.
Replaying will start. What will fail and what problems will come from the EVM, we'll have to see, but replaying will start, yeah.
Yeah. So the Boolean can be finished and then it's work on the contract.
Yeah.
Okay, Joshua?
Did the camera turn on? Let's ask me. Okay. There. Yeah, so I added the Blake2 lib to NEAR. And then I added the changes needed to run the F compression function. It's fully tested to the specification and seamlessly integrated to fit into the code. Then I'll wait for you to pull it up.
Yeah, so this was the one we previously merged, but I see there's two new PRs as well. Yeah. Remember that if you need pull request reviews, it's a good idea to hound people directly with the links.
No worries. Yeah, those are like super small.
Okay, so we'll come back to those.
Yep, and then I had a chat with Bo Yao, Evgeny Kozyakov, and Alexei Kladov. That was just basically things that we might have missed in the PR. And Evgeny Kozyakov gave me a plethora of information and some stuff that we missed, some like config options and whatnot, and gave me some advice to avoid some potential pitfalls we might run into. So I took a lot of notes. So that was really helpful. And then I implemented the F compression function as part of our EVM AP or math API. So that's what I've been doing today.
Okay. So how does it look with this precompile? Well, this host functionalizations?
Yeah.
How close?
Really good.
How close to moving this out of draft stage?
I want to get it done over the weekend, so I'm going to hammer through that and get it done before Monday. That's my goal.
Okay.
There isn't a lot left. I just got to run it for the 6 hours and a few other things, and it should be basically ready to go.
Okay. All right. So once you finish that, there's plenty of work for you on the contract side. So we'll pull you back there afterwards. Okay. And we still have to bring over Ilya's PR from NEAR EVM for the upgradability. That's not yet incorporated in the new contract. So that might be a place for you to start since you're already familiar with that.
Sure.
I can actually take a look at that if you guys want.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Since you wrote it, by all means. It shouldn't be much of a rebase. I mean, this contract is implemented pulling in the EVM crate but otherwise it's pretty similar, a little bit refactored code. It should be pretty easy to adapt the code you wrote previously.
Sure. Yeah. No worries.
Okay. Well then, let's discuss these two items: the connector integration and gas use. So Ilya, you had a number of comments on the F connector work. Maybe we could deal with those. Let's find that here. Over here.
Well, I think the main point, I think like there's 2 points. One is definitely like trimming down the dependencies, and then the other one is storage management. So in fungible token, by default, the storage management is kind of implemented via special deposits, and that's not really working well in EVM case. Like that's not how Ethereum works, and so I think like we need to rework that for Ethereum case specifically.
That was slightly hard to understand. So I didn't catch the first item. Storage management, the second one. What about the first one? Did somebody catch it?
Sorry. Yeah, I'm saying, so the storage management for accounts, because like on Ethereum, the storage is not done by deposits.
Mm-hmm.
The storage is allocated when you actually calling the code. And the second one is, or the first one was trimming down the dependencies. Like I saw there's a lot of like SHA-3, for example, stuff like this, which we have SDK kind of functions for that. And so instead of adding extra dependencies for things that kind of are there, and also so Serde by default, like it's really hard to disable Serde pooling STD, for example. And so my suggestion, we actually bring like a super small JSON parser dependency. It's like a really small Rust cargo, which actually like somewhat similar. Like in assembly script, we're actually using like a 300-line JSON parser, versus in Rust we're using like a 200 kilobyte binary of Serde.
Do you remember which library you prefer for this?
I can try to find it. I was commenting it somewhere in Neps, but I can link it. I'll leave some comments on the PR.
Okay. All right.
Tomorrow.
Great.
I think so. My main point there is like I feel like fixing that PR is like it will be a lot of work. That is like a kind of double work. It would be easier to just start introducing the actual code into the EVM, into like Aurora machine now.
Yep.
Aurora engine. And because like specifically all the storage manipulations, etc., they already implemented, like pretty much account management should be implemented in EVM, kind of on EVM contract side, right? It's not a separate thing. It's like inside, it's the same balances that EVM is using, and so like it's all should be implemented in one kind of logic, and the kind of logs parsing, like the logs parsing and stuff, that can be just left as a library that we just pull in, like a separate cargo or whatever.
Okay. Yeah, well, that's the approach that we had figured as the next step. So, as in this standalone contract was a useful exercise for Yevgeny to learn how to do it, and now we begin bit by bit integrating bits of code into the contracts, into the EVM contracts. And so Yevgeny, indeed, you and I need to sync on that, perhaps still today if you have time. And so the main task for next week on the F connector is integration into the EVM contract. At the same time, though, the logic that you've implemented, Yevgeny, can certainly start to be tested in the standalone contracts if you have somebody available for that. And as a result, can be validated on an independent track from the account and storage integration into the EVM contracts.
Yeah, and to be clear, like the standalone connector is useful on its own. Like we can actually use that instead of having a wrapped ether ERC20. Like that's one option that, like, I think with bridge scheme is maybe a good decision to make. Like, should we use wrapped ether or should we use this as kind of a main ether representation on native NEAR?
Yeah, I think that it's pretty logical to use native ether. So you have this connector implementing actually like internal and external interface for ETH. So we have, like, in terms of the storage management, so I can say here, Ilya, that people that are going to receive Ether in native environment, most probably they would like to do the same storage management as with any fungible token. And the reason why to have this like condensed inside of the EVM contract is that then people will be able to move their Ether from like NEAR runtime to EVM runtime seamlessly, so they do not need to do anything with it. Or in case they want to transfer some Ether to other user, they are able to do this transfer in like cross runtime in cross runtime thing. So
well, but I thought the plan was not to have two contracts for Ether on NEAR. So like EVM, at least one EVM will be the canonical Ether fungible contract.
Yeah, that's correct. But it should be a canonical fungible token for everyone. So for including the native runtime. So the storage management there should be absolutely the same as in ordinary fungible token.
Yes, I would say it's yes, and like it should support the same interface for sure, but it probably should like return different values and having like managed. So I mean that's the part we need to figure out, because
yeah,
like if you think like when you're doing a transaction, like for example, right, you will try to do a native like transfer of Ether inside EVM, and so there's obviously no like NEAR attached.
Yeah.
But sorry, not NEAR attached. There's nobody will call like storage deposit on the new account before this transfer happens, and so the allocation will need to happen kind of internally. That's kind of the logic of the thing. So like I'm just saying, I agree that we need to support that interface. I think like we need to have like a more sophisticated storage model there in the first place to handle the Ethereum.
Yeah, I agree with you. And can I check with Evgeny? Is this correct that at the moment the ETH connector is implemented only for the recipient in NEAR runtime, or you already did it for the EVM recipients too?
No, not for EVM.
Okay, so at the moment the ETH connector is working only with NEAR recipients. So now it has. So all of these problems that you're talking about, we have not yet encountered them, but for sure they are there.
Yeah, I understand. I'm just, my point is like the internal fungible token implementation for inside EVM will be different because
absolutely
the EVM implementation is different, right? So yeah. I'm saying like if we're not planning to have the kind of ETH connector to be their ETH connector on NEAR because EVM is ETH connector, we should like finalize that design kind of sooner than later and like focus on getting that. And like I mean, as I said, this is the plan for next week. I'm just highlighting the things that needs to be thought through, and specifically like account management is the piece. So actually, the upgradability PR had part of the account management, like an Ethereum style account management, where you kind of contribute the cost of the storage expansion as part of the transaction cost. Like that PR actually contains that like partial implementation. So like that kind of needs to be like thought through as a process, and also figured out like what are all the externalities like RPC, proxies, and everything that needs to be like aware of this. and know how to measure like how much storage will be allocated for a specific call to be able to kind of attach the right amounts of funding to that. So like kind of the dry run style, like that's pretty much like one of the things that's near missing in general is a dry run of a transaction to be able to collect like statistics on like gas use, storage use, etc.
Yeah.
So we kind of need to like simulate that inside the EVM to be able to do that like efficiently inside RPC proxy and kind of other tools.
General, we need to work through the full stack with the relayer. Now,
yeah, exactly.
That's a larger call. We probably don't want to go into that now. It would monopolize this call. But Alex, how about we discuss that Monday and then take it up with the team on the Monday call?
Yeah, let's do it. And it seems, I don't think that this is an easy task, so it's better to do it earlier than later.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about the next topic you had in mind, Ilya, the F-gas versus new gas. What was it that you wanted to express on that?
Yeah, I mean, people keep asking pretty much, yeah, what's the relationship going to be? So we should have some like, I mean, I know that the part of the near bully obviously will or whatever Aurora bully will be kind of. I would expect the outcome would be this as well. But I think like having just like few numbers for like what is the fund like ERC20 transfer, what is the like contract deployment of some like known contracts and stuff like this cost in near compared to like the same cost in gas in Ethereum, just like so we can give some high level understanding to people when they're asking like how much more performant it is and also like how much things actually cost.
Yeah, we'll have those I think pretty soon. Certainly the next week or two.
Maybe we can just count how much gas we're using when we're replaying and compare that to the gas usage on the testnet. But I'm not sure how useful that is, the gas usage on the testnet. You think that's a useful metric? Or?
Well, the first thing we have to begin at is that we still have some gas cost accounting to implement in the EVM contract. We have a couple of to-dos there, so those need to be addressed first, and then indeed we can think about how to measure this.
No, I mean the contract style actually doesn't need any extra gas accounting because it just like the pure contract will just have like the pure time in the VM.
Yeah, but we need to pay the relayer as well. So that was certainly an intention.
Yeah, I mean, if we go into cost, that's different. But at least like if we're talking like purely gas mapping and then kind of benchmarking on like how much transactions can fit in the block type of thing.
Yeah, that can be benchmarked
like
as is.
What Frank says is definitely will be super valuable to have like to start, and then yes, like adding gas costs to like, I mean, adding the cost of gas to how much gas is used, right? That would be a separate thing.
Sure. Yeah. So in terms of just measuring the gas usage, what we could do in Frank's suggestion is we could take something like the n first blocks of curly, which are never going to change, and they take some reasonable amount of time to run through the bully, and we can count the total gas consumed for that, and then over time work to bring that down. How does that sound?
I mean, that's an interesting metric for sure. I was thinking more something like people can practically reason about, which is, yeah, this like ERC20 transfer, like something known to people, but obviously like, yeah, I mean, aggregate costs and stuff like this. This is what's going to show you, yeah, how efficient the contracts are and stuff like this. So,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
That's useful as well, but I would put it as like a second or third priority versus like just giving like intuition around just like, yeah, efficiency and kind of throughput.
Yeah, sure. So we need to have some guidelines right now, what people can expect, set expectations. But I think in terms of our second quarter objectives, it might make sense to start to bring down the cost, the gas used in something like the first N blocks of Görli, for example. That would be a good measurable objective there. So we can, that actually leads into the discussion that we need to talk about OKR review and planning. Anything else, Ilya, on the gas versus near gas? I mean, we'll certainly get you those numbers as soon as possible, perhaps next week, for ERC20 transfer contract deployment.
Yeah. So.
Okay. So let's talk about a disruption to our work next week. We have it's the end of the quarter, and we have OKR review and planning for Q2 coming up. This will disrupt all teams the next few weeks. For the EVM team, given how our deadlines are formulated, I push back a little bit, and we have a little bit more time for work per se next week, and the OKR review will commence the subsequent week. But there are some meetings that certainly I and Alex need to attend, and perhaps some of you guys as well. So that's just something to know that starting next week we begin to evaluate the Q1 OKRs, which we already did as a practice run a few weeks ago, if you remember, and then we finalize the OKR review for Q1 in the first weeks of April, and begin to do Q2 planning, which will consume a bunch of time from everybody, just in terms of setting expectations. But for now, we focus on we had defined March 29, so that's the Monday after next. We had defined that as the launch date for the objective of EVM on testnets. And I think we can certainly deploy something there then as a soft launch. I do think we are a little bit behind on most tasks, and there's still some questions to solve. So I wouldn't market that a whole lot, but we'll deploy the contract to testnet then. And the bug bounties, Alex, do you have any update on the bug bounties?
No, not now.
Okay. So the bug bounties will launch earliest a few weeks after. So there's a little bit of time there to align things. Something like that. But the next 2 weeks will be a little disrupted. Okay. So overall, sounds like we have a bunch of works, bunch of work still in flight. Just needs to be completed as soon as humanly possible, and then all rivers flow into the ocean, and we achieve integration and deployment. Alex, any comments from your end? Also, given the bridge launch this week, which was quite hectic, any words of wisdom?
No major comments here. The bridge has a bunch of other stuff to do on and support, so it will require some of my time, but I will be able to pay much more attention to the EVM right now. Okay.
So more available this week and next.
Yeah.
Okay, great. We do need you. Okay. Anybody else have something else to discuss? Okay. Well then, let us get back to work. There's a lot of coding to be done. And on Monday, let's coordinate. Let's coordinate more on the S integration, Evgeny. I'll ping you also today. And Ilya promised to work on a few things in the contract. Ilya, do you already know which one? So upgradability is what you would like to work on. what about the meta transactions? Is that something you're interested to tackle? You wrote much of the previous code on that. Do we still have you, William?
Yeah, just very loud here.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I asked about the meta transactions. Is that also something you'd be interested to tackle, moving the code from near core into the contract on that? Okay, I'll simply. Okay, so potentially meta transactions and the upgradability will be retargeted. Retarget the existing PR. Good. Okay. Well, with that, I think that's all for today, and let's get back to work. So, have a nice weekend, everybody, and talk to you on Monday.
Talk to you on Monday.
See you guys.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Great weekend.